Richard Finley Grise. Inherent in a college education is a responsibility to serve one's community. Dr. Richard Finley Grise was the epitome of a distinguished alumnus. His life was devoted to serving his fellow man. He was a World War II veteran, he was a community leader, he was a physician, and he was a devoted friend to this university, serving as president of the Alumni Association from 1982 to 1984. He also served on the Kentucky Museum Advisory Council and the Lancaster Lecture Society Board. Outside of the operating room, Dr. Grise was active on behalf of his patients, serving on several medical boards and holding memberships in numerous professional organizations. For 12 years, he was the professional delegate from Kentucky to the American Cancer Society and was president of the Kentucky Cancer Society. He received that group's gold medal for contributions to the control of cancer. His renowned combination of compassion and technical skill is something to which all medical practitioners should aspire, but which very few manage to attain. That is why Dr. Grise is remembered not only as a good surgeon, but as a healer. Not only did Dr. Grise add to the quality of life for the residents of Bowling Green and Warren County by his professional skills, but also by the encouragement he offered younger physicians, both by word and by example. This is a lasting legacy of compassion that few can claim. Each person touches the life of someone, a spouse, a child, a friend. It is a rare person whose life impacts an entire community, and Dr. Grise was just that person. And you often find words that describe individuals, and I'm sure there are many medical terms that would describe Dr. Grise. But I think gentleman would probably be the best word that would describe this individual, not only because of his manner, but because of his grace, his generosity, and his charm. And it was an honor for me to have the opportunity to know Dr. Grise well during his lifetime, and certainly know his family as well. We're honored to induct Dr. Richard Finley Grise as a member of the class of 2006 of the Hall of Distinguished Alumni.
A gifted healer, educator, volunteer, friend, and mentor, Dr. Richard Finley Grise is remembered as a man for all seasons. The second son of Dean Finley C. and Mary Eunice Eshman Grise, Richard was born into a family of educators and began his love affair with Western Kentucky University while attending kindergarten at Western's training school, matriculating through the system to graduate school.
He literally grew up at Western and on the campus, and Western was an integral part of his life down to the very day that he died. He was president of the Alumni Association on the national level. He was very interested in the sports that occurred here. And he was such, you hate to use a cliche, but such a man for all seasons. He also served as a role model and mentor, not only to me as a undergraduate pre-medical student, but to many pre-medical students here at the campus. He was encouraging always, and he truly loved medicine as well as loving people and loving Western.
Grise went on to graduate from Vanderbilt University's School of Medicine in 1944, received a Master's of Science degree in surgical pathology from the University of Virginia in 1950, and served in World War II. He returned to Bowling Green in the early 50s to grow his practice as a private surgeon and give back to the educational community, so much a part of his life.
I think his legacy would be showing that you can live a life of purpose, and I know there is this motto at Western that the spirit makes the master. I think the essence of Richard was really reason, and he thought through things very carefully, very analytically and logically, and yet he had a compassionate side. He felt that care and compassion were the basis for medicine, but I think he felt that was true in his real life or personal life. And I think his legacy would be showing that one person can make a big difference to a lot of people.
In his lifetime, Dr. Richard Grise did make a difference. He earned the coveted Silver Beaver Award for Distinguished Service to Youth in 1975 for his work with the Boy Scouts of America, was very active in the American Cancer Society, and helped gain certification of an EMT, Emergency Medical Technician program, for the state of Kentucky.
Back then, there were no emergency room physicians, and patients were brought to the hospital by the ambulances were owned by the funeral homes, and patients were brought to the hospital by them, and they called the doctor on call, and he went up there. So I think that he did realize that there needed to be a more organized, quick response system. He was quickly, I think, won over when he saw the quality of the training and was involved in the quality of the training that was provided here at Western and at other places for paramedics and EMTs, that he became quickly a very strong convert and admirer of what EMTs and professionals and emergency service personnel could do on the scene of an accident and on the way to the hospital.
And while the professional and community accolades came his way, Richard Finley Grise never lost sight of his top priorities: faith and family.
He was a very giving person. I've often thought that he epitomized the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi when he said, "It is in giving that you receive, it's in pardoning that you're pardoned." And so I think Richard's life was very much epitomized to that prayer.
I think he felt that there were two avenues in life that you should receive from people gratefully, but that also you needed to give back. And he felt very strongly about service to others, to the community, particularly to the youth. I think he felt very strongly about helping children wherever he could, or young people. And it was just his way. I'm not sure how. He was very spiritually minded, so that I think he felt also that we all had been given divine independence, but there was an interdependence that we have on each other, and that we should help each other along the way.
2006 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductee, Dr. Richard Finley Grise.
President Ransdell, members of the Board of Regents, members of the National Board of the Alumni Association, and all friends of Western. My husband believed strongly that there was a heaven, and I hope that he was right, because today I would like to think that he's enjoying this wonderful gathering and feeling very proud and pleased. Richard also was privileged to have known all of the 9 presidents at Western, from Dr. Cherry to Dr. Ransdell, and was especially close with Dr. Dero Downing, with whom he was a college classmate. If Richard were here today, of course he would make one of his eloquent speeches in his own inimitable fashion, and believe me, he would have loved today. But since he isn't here, I would like to read some excerpts from a speech that he made in 1982 when he was president of the National Association of Alumni. And I think that those remarks he would find just as fitting today as he did 24 years ago, today in this centennial year. And so I would like to quote, "The mold of Western has evolved from thousands of sculptors, yet somehow it is magically united by a common bond of that often mentioned undefinable spirit. How fortunate we have been to have experienced Western, where advancement of learning, development of philosophy, and association with great people were involved, where lifelong stimulus to continue studies, to search for knowledge, to seek the best of life, received encouragement far beyond the area of the hill or the duration of those school days. The university is successful, which sends its students away with zeal and plans for continued lifelong education. At Western, not all has been sweetness and light and good health. She has had her share of cuts, bruises, fractures, ulcers, and cancers, problems of money, students, faculty. The management of these has not been by accident, but by effort, by attention to the need at hand, with detailed recognition of the problem. Some have said all things come to him who waits, but we find those come better to him who hustles while he waits. We have watched our university in times of adversity, when sometimes simple medication, sometimes splints for support were enough, but sometimes major surgery is needed. The combined efforts of the support team and those who render assistance in management are necessary to the chief operator and executive. When your time comes to render assistance to your school, may you remember the importance of your individual attention and bring back to your school that sense of support and loyalty. Do not hold back with your hands, your funds, your heart, and your prayers. End of quote. I think Richard felt a real sense of a debt of gratitude to Western. He loved the place, and throughout his whole life, I think he attempted to pay back for what he felt that Western had given him. And I, along with family and friends, want to thank the National Board of Directors for this honor in remembering a truly outstanding alumnus, Dr. Richard Finley Grise. Thank you.
On behalf of my father's sister, Dorothy Grise Dodson, who's here today, and on behalf of my two brothers, my older brother, Richard Grise Jr., and my younger brother, Jim Grise, who unfortunately could not be here, and my family, my wife, Sarah, and my daughter, Kate, and Jack, and Sam, thank you very much for this award. I think my father would be, I know he would be very proud. He would want to be here, and is certainly glad to still be here through this recognition, because Western was always for him a place to come to borrow words from Robert Penn Warren's last novel. Not just the physical place of beauty and familiarity that we all know, but also the place of memory and hope and inspiration that is shared and enjoyed by students and alumni and friends in Louisville and Caverna and California and beyond at any time. As a little boy at the training school next to Cherry Hall in the late 20s, my father would, after school, walk over to Van Meter Hall, where his father's office was located on the second floor, and wait for him, sitting in that deep window on the first landing of the left set of stairs as you go in, possibly reading, but probably watching Western college students come and go. When his father was ready, they would meet there and walk home, down the hill together. His youth and college years were populated with the icons such as Henry Hardin Cherry and Dr. Garrett, Dr. Gordon Wilson and Ivan Wilson, and Dr. Stickles and Margie Helm, Francis Richards, Coach Diddle, Dr. Kelly Thompson, Dr. John Minton, and it seems one of the Grise family favorites, Dr. Dero Downing and Harriet Downing. Their spirit and that of many others lived on in my father's lives and lives on in each of us. As Wilma said, we really don't have to guess what he would say if he were here today. He spoke frequently to alumni groups and friends on various occasions over the last 25 years of his life, and before that, over many years. And I'd like to just give you a few of his words, additional words. We spent several years together, he once spoke to a group, in an environment whose importance seems more significant as years go by. The lasting impact of an atmosphere that often takes years and experience to appreciate was ours, as a diverse group of persons passed through our school and our lives. The voices and activities of those whom we honor and remember, he went on to say, are not stilled, but preserved as surely as our memories of them. We may have lost traces of many who were significant to us. They may not be here physically, but I believe they are here, smiling as we mortals peer through a dark glass. They, with their altered perspective and knowledge, are looking in on our group today, urging us on and insisting these too are days of significance and importance. That certain feeling of kinship, of bonds that unite us as we recall younger days of our formative lives, brings to us a unity of seeing, being, experiencing. A reunion, he went on to say, probably shouldn't last too long, but the effect should and will. Pause with me this great morning by expressing our deep appreciation for those days and for these days in the years of association with the best, and for our opportunity for continued communication through the ages as our heartwarming privilege. To him and to us, Western truly is and always will be a place to come to. Thank you for this honor.